Hello everybody, welcome to Recover Lab TV. My name's Chris, I'm a coach and sports therapist, and welcome to this mini series. This is going to be 10 videos all about what I call post-Ironman blues. Effectively it could be post anything blues, if you will, but generally it's kind of talking about kind of big events, big life events like an Ironman. So in today's episode, we're going to dive deep into the science behind post-Ironman blues, what it does to your body, and kind of why you kind of are experiencing it as a person. It's something that affects many of us. It's something that kind of really affects me each and every season. I'm trying really hard this year to kind of have it affect me less, but it's certainly over the last kind of 9 years been something that kind of each and every year has kind of affected me as an individual. Now, traditionally, I would always kind of put it down to my ADHD. And yes, that's part of it, but more and more lately, especially with a lot of my athletes recently who have struggled with it. And this year alone, I've had maybe just under 10 people reach out to me who are kind of around me personally that have been struggling with themselves and kind of achieving a big dream of theirs. Some of them have been working for it over the past year, similar to yourselves, and some of them have been building up to it over several years, and then they've finally achieved this moment, and now they feel kind of lost in this kind of rut. Now, the purpose of this video is to explore the physiological and neurological shifts that happen post-race, okay, and post-race season. Now, the majority of endurance events kind of push us as human beings, push our bodies into survival mode. It elevates cortisol levels, adrenaline, our sympathetic nervous system, and it kind of puts that into a dominant state where we're consistently in this survival mode, this fight or flight mode, and it's great short term. However, it's not good for us long term as kind of healthy individuals. Now, after that kind of build up to our kind of season and then kind of towards race day, for example, a first Ironman event, it's taking 30 weeks, so roughly 9 months to build up to that one big day. You might have several races in the build up that naturally none of this happens to you. So all of a sudden you get to that big day and then this big drop off, and it's similar to kind of like I visualized there, that kind of big mountain climb to get to that peak fitness, and then that drop off naturally for your body to recover. We often think about our muscles and kind of so on, but what we don't think about is our endocrine system, our hormonal system. We don't also think about our nervous system, and it's something that I kind of was really put through the test this year, and it's been one of my biggest lessons in regards to that. If you've been following and have subscribed to the channel, you would know about my experiences with the Decker Ironman and everything. Otherwise, by all means, I can bring that up in another video. Okay. So after that kind of rapid climb, if you will, that happens gradually over 9 months, and then even more so towards the end, and then especially on the day, we have this gigantic kind of dopamine kind of hit, this giant dopamine effect, where our bodies are flooded with dopamine and adrenaline. And then all of a sudden we have this drop, leaving kind of a sense of emotional emptiness. And it's kind of like a blunt ending to our journey, where we might be riding that high for a week or two, sometimes maybe even 3 weeks before you start coming down. For some of us, it's going to be short-lived, back to reality. Come work, and then we crack on, and then all of a sudden it's just in this lull, and it might even hit you unexpectedly. For me this year, I kind of had a crazy busy September, if you will, and leading into the first week of October, and I was like, I haven't really hit it yet, and then it was just prolonged, if you will, where I'm great in season, and then out season I often kind of feel lost. I naturally go into a drop of content and so on, and it's because of that lack of motivation, and it's this conundrum that how can I be this person on one day and then this couch potato, if you will, on another day. So if you're relating to this, by all means, let me know in the comment section so we can all feel a little bit normal about this, because this is one thing I want to do with this mini series, is normalize these feelings and kind of create a community out there that kind of we can all lean on each other. Now, once that kind of dopamine and adrenaline drop off often leaves us kind of dysregulated, it's often leaving us kind of with a bit of emptiness, a bit of fatigue, and it's not necessarily physical fatigue, but emotional fatigue. It can be fatigue in our adrenal system. It can be fatigue in our kind of, what's the right word? Kind of like the sense of emptiness in the sense of our nervous system is just being kind of overloaded. We've gone from one thing to another thing to another thing, and quite often, especially if you've had a busy race season, you know, like in 2023 I became the first person to complete all the Ironman races in the UK. That was 4 months, 7 Ironman events, and it was just boom, 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 going from one to another, and you don't necessarily get time to celebrate each achievement before you're on to the next one, and then the next one, and so on and so forth. And it's great because you're just pushing on. It's great that, like, for example, you're like for me, my ADHD, it's great because you're just on to the next thing, and it works well with my ADHD. But then all of a sudden, it doesn't necessarily allow you to celebrate that achievement and celebrate your success and what you put into that. You're just, if anything, telling yourself it's no longer important, and you're on to the next thing, and that is what is important. And that's not necessarily a great way to live either, you know. So it can often end up post Ironman event with this sense of kind of meaninglessness, right? This kind of mild to moderate depression symptoms, and it's not to say that you have depression or anything like that, but it's just this feeling of loss, or this feeling of emptiness, that all of a sudden you had this reason, especially if your, say for example, your Ironman journey has been a long journey, a kind of a multiple year journey building up to this, and then all of a sudden you always had this little carrot that was dangling in the kind of in front of you, and now all of a sudden you've eaten it. So now what? Now what is there to get you out of bed, and so on and so forth? And it really kind of for a lot of people opens up this question that, like, I've defined myself so much by this goal of mine for so long. Without the goal there, I don't know who I am, you know. And it can leave, like I said, this feeling of emptiness within you. And it's not just a mental feeling, it's also very much a nervous system feeling as well. Now, cardiovascularly, there's a synchronization and a homeostasis within our body, and it takes a little longer to resume a kind of a normal kind of cardiovascular kind of rhythm. So things like HRV, where you kind of build up for so long, you hammer yourself, and then you come back down. That little dip, it doesn't necessarily, for example, my breakfast bar, you kind of might build up here, but then you might drop below the breakfast bar and underneath that table before you come back up to kind of normal level above that kind of table, if you will. Now, that is quite normal in regards to recovering, and it can take 2 to 3 weeks before your kind of sleep, your HRV comes back to normal. And then if you are quite commonly, it's these moments where our immune system is going to be hit, so we can often come down with colds or flu-like symptoms. And it's the same with the kind of couple of weeks before, when you're building up and you're really trying to max out that kind of fitness element of your training, that's where your real risk of kind of injury, your real risk of kind of catching anything to kind of like coughs, colds, flu-like symptoms and so on, just because your immune system's at its weakest. Now, allowing passive recovery through the use of massage, compression, cryotherapy, so like ice baths, using saunas, steam rooms, these things to allow yourself this psychological rest and recovery post race, post season, getting in your habit where you're kind of focusing on active recovery. That is a huge element. So effectively for us kind of active individuals, so instead of planning our training, why don't we then flip that kind of narrative and plan our recovery just as effectively? So then we can treat ourselves to a spa day, we could treat our partner to a spa day. I don't know why I'm yawning all the time, so I do apologize. But again, it's these sorts of feelings that are completely normal post-race season, yawns and all. You know, just because like you guys, I'm an athlete, or try to be, and this kind of part of the year, I get up at 5 every morning, like many of you do. I also go to bed relatively late, kind of around 10, 11 o'clock. It's busy with 3 kids, and it's not necessarily that kind of mind switch from going into athlete mode straight into dad mode, straight into supportive partner mode, straight into work mode, and then trying to rebuild and so on and so forth often leaves your adrenal system and your nervous system really tired, which is why recently and even now in this video, embarrassingly, you end up yawning a lot, or I certainly do. So it's trying to recover and kind of reframing the finish line, opening a new chapter, as opposed to the finish line is the end. It's kind of like, for me, it was me walking through this doorway into the life that I wanted to live and the life that I wanted to be. So having a element where you are looking after your body from a nervous system perspective, where you're looking after yourself from an endocrine system perspective, so hormones, okay, and then also looking after your body from all of the other structures, your bone structure, your skeletal system, if you will, your soft tissue. So celebrating by treating yourself in some respects, treating yourself through like the recoveries that I said. So going out for active walks, it is autumn, so you have, like on my centerpiece on the desk, you have these beautiful autumn colors. Go out for a walk. Recently I've changed my road bike to a mountain bike, and I've been getting out on some trails. It is much slower for any of you doing that, and that can mess with your mind a little, but it's good because I never do that sort of thing. It's always out on the roads, always focusing on speed, cadence, power output, whereas right now I'm just out there. I've got a heart rate monitor on, I've got my bike Garmin on, and all I'm doing is spinning my legs and exploring. So that's one way that I'm choosing to reset my body as I'm trying to recover my kind of nervous system, my sympathetic system, as I bring it into my parasympathetic system. And for people, what I will say, and what I found through my own experiences and the experiences of people I've coached, for people who have any sort of neurological disorder like ADHD or autism or kind of anything on those spectrums, it may take you a little bit longer. For people who have experienced trauma in their kind of previous kind of childhood or their life, it may take you a little bit longer, which is why we are drawn to endurance sports generally in the first place. I'm sorry. I've tried to film this a million times and I keep yawning. So I'm just gonna film it and send it. So I do apologize. This is my third attempt of filming it so far, just to be honest with you. So I hope you kind of relate to that in some respects. Um, this is a brief overview of the kind of the science behind post-Ironman blues. The next one is going to be all about structure. So by all means, hit the subscribe button. Head over to the next video. If you can, give this a little like, give it a little comment, and talk about your kind of go-to tips. You know, for me last year, I kind of created a ice bath challenge where it was every day an ice bath, and I recorded that on my videos through my short reels. So by all means, check that out and let me know what you do in the kind of the winter months, or post race, depending on when your race is in the year. Other than that, have an incredible day. And again, I apologize for my yawning. Have a great one, okay? Take care.